I'm going to try to explain this as concisely as possible to really catch people up if you're interested in knowing about what's going on with the ALU and the ALU Reform Caucus and the independent union in general and what's going on. Because it is pretty alarming in my opinion, and that's why I'm speaking out about it. So in the beginning of January 2023, there's three groups involved. There's Chris Smalls, which is the ALU. There's Connor Spence, which is the ALU Democratic Reform Caucus, and then there's the workers at large, just the regular workers, ordinary workers like myself. So I became involved in the union because I really thought, okay, this is a great thing to have for Amazon workers specifically, and I wanted to just become more civically involved. So in the beginning of 2023, I started getting involved with the union, and it was at that time that the union started to break apart. So there was the ALU and the ALU Democratic Reform Caucus. I'll just refer to them as the Democratic Reform Caucus from now on, I guess, because it's a long name. So the Reform Caucus was telling people, we want you to sign this petition so we can get rid of the leadership. Fine, great. You know, the majority of workers were not happy with Chris Smalls. He definitely dropped the ball 100%. So there's definitely some funny business going on. All this time has been a delay for any work to have an actual contract being worked out, or workers getting informed and unionizing some type of solidarity. So all of this has been a huge distraction, which I think is what we're going to keep seeing going forward, is that it's all just like just an illusion smokescreen to continue to delay the process until the NLRB is deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. That's where we're headed, right? So thanks a lot to ALU and the ALU Democratic Reform Caucus for continuing to prolong the struggle, is what you're really doing. But anyway, I digress. I get really pissed. I'm sorry. I'm so sick of this. And the reason why I'm sick of it is, so boom, here we are in February 2024. They got the federal judge, the Reform Caucus got the federal judge to have new leadership put in, right? Well, okay, great. So at first they were going to do this at the mass membership meeting, but nobody showed up, and they didn't really discuss this. But because of people like Michelle Valentin Nieves and Ron Boone continuing to inform, that we found that they started to question. They're like, well, isn't there supposed to be a vote taking place? And because they started to say that, then they're like, oh yes, we're going to have a vote on whether we want new leaders and whether we want an 11-person committee. So, okay, great. So, of course, many questions arise to anybody who is like sensible and would say, okay, who's monitoring that vote? When is that vote going to take place? What are the rules and bylaws of all this? How is this going to be monitored, right? So the ALU and the ALU Reform Caucus, like I said, if I haven't already, they both have high-priced lawyers. And those are who is overseeing this vote. So the referendum took place, and the results, an overwhelming yes, I assume, because, again, even with all the questions, how many people voted? Was it 50% plus one? Were the workers given enough time and information? No. I don't know. How many workers voted? I don't know. Did they feel under duress when they voted? Was Chris Smalls and the ALU Reform Caucus present, staring at them right in their face? Was it an open vote? Was it a closed vote? Should we have open votes or closed votes? Maybe that matters too, right? All these really important questions, just meh. No response. No response from the ALU lawyers or the ALU Democratic Reform Caucus lawyers. And okay, so now everything's approved, right? And we still have questions. Apparently there's supposed to be a slate involved, and because we are the people that we are, and honestly there are people who have been involved, and of no fault of their own has the ALU been mismanaged, they're just being completely taken away from the opportunity to continue on in leadership. And here we are now, March 2024, and there's no answers. We've asked as the members at large, because no matter what. We still have groups of people we talk to in chat groups, and we're still organizing the building no matter what, because activism is like it's really a way of life to try to build a better, more democratic society. That's just a given. So we want to know. We want answers from the ALU lawyers or the ALU Democratic Reform Caucus lawyers. We want answers. We want to know why certain people are being shut out of the democratic process, and what kind of transparency are you going to ensure the workers have? These are the real questions and the real work that has to get done. And I really hope that people, if you're interested in becoming part of the union or have something to say about the union, please speak up now. Please speak up now, because it really is, time is of the essence. We have to get answers before June, and we have to make sure that we're being taken seriously, as we should be, because there's so many talented, skilled people that work at Amazon that have a lot to contribute to the world, and being part of a union is one way to do it. And we can form a better union. We can form a union that has its own health benefits, its own 401k system. We can do that. That should have been set up already. That should have already been set up. You don't need a contract to do those things as a union. So let's go. Let's do it.